Welcome to the Electrotech channel. In today's video, we are going to learn how to assemble a computer system from scratch with all the various parts of the computer needed. Now, I want you to just follow from beginning to the end to learn every basic knowledge you will require to assemble a computer unit on your own. So, follow along with me. I thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel. If you are a subscriber, thank you for coming back to watch videos on the channel. Please make your comments down, like and share the video as well. Now let's start. To assemble a computer unit, we need various components which include the case. We have the case here. Here is the computer case. You will see that the computer case is a box that we house all the various parts of the computer system. So we have the case here. This is the case cover, and this is the front panel of the case. Here is the front panel. Alright. Now to install, we also need the power supply unit. This is the power supply unit for the computer. We need the hard drive, the hard disk drive. We have hard disk drive here, and this particular one is a capacity of 500 gigabytes. 500 gigabytes. You need the motherboard to install the system. Here is the computer motherboard. Alright. We need the heatsink and fan. Heatsink and fan. Here is the fan that has been screwed to the heatsink. They are together, working together to cool the processor. We also need the optical drive. Here is the optical drive. The optical drive here is actually a DVD drive. It could either be a CD drive, DVD drive, or Blu-ray drive. This one is a DVD drive that we're going to use. We also need the RAM. Here is the RAM that we're going to install onto the motherboard for the operation of the computer system. The random access memory. We have it here. Lastly, there is another component that's very important. That's what I have here. It is the CPU, the central processing unit of the computer system. And that's it. It looks small, but it's very powerful and very important in the operation of the computer system. So we are going to install all of them into the computer. So you follow along, and don't forget to make your comments, to ask any question needed, and then make any comments. I will personally read your comment and respond to it. Don't forget to also like the video. Give us a thumb up to like the video. Thank you. We appreciate. Now to begin the installation, we start from the motherboard here. We have the motherboard, and we are going to install the CPU, heatsink and fan. Then we are going to install the RAM onto the motherboard. Afterward, we are going to continue the installation by placing other components into the case. Now, let us start the installation of various parts on the motherboard. We have the motherboard here. First of all, we want to install the CPU, the processor. We have the processor socket here. Processor. We are going to install the processor. The processor must go into the socket only in one particular direction, and that is the notch on the socket. Then the processor will not enter. That is a mismatch and should not be installed in that manner. It can spoil the processor. So we have to look carefully at where we have the notch on the processor. When we have the notch on the side, then carefully examine the processor socket to see where the notch actually is. There is a notch here. So you have to carefully place the processor in that manner. Now be careful in order not to touch the processor body and the pins with your hand because of electrostatic discharge. Electrostatic discharge can actually destroy the processor. So you have to be careful the way you handle it. Look at the way I'm handling it. Handling it at the edges without allowing my hand to touch the metallic parts of the processor. And that is the precaution needed while installing the computer system. Otherwise, you can also use an anti-static wrist strap that is going to be tied to your wrist here in order to prevent electrostatic discharge coming into the component, or using anti-static mats spread on this desk before you begin putting all these components on top. It's very important in order not to spoil computer components that are sensitive. Alright, so I'm going to install the processor now into the socket. So let's follow as I do that. So I'm going to place it down into the position. I'm placing it down into the position right now. So the processor has entered into the proper position on the socket. Then we pull down the socket and lock it onto the processor. Okay. The processors have been put in position. I'm going to use the socket to lock it down. You can see this notch here is going to enter into this screw on the motherboard and hook there. So you have to insert it like this. You force down this lever system and hook it into it like this. And that's the processor. We are going to install the heatsink and fan directly on top of the processor. Before you install that, we need what we call a thermal paste to be applied on top of the processor, so that the heatsink will be firmly attached to the processor and allows heat to come out of the processor into the heatsink. Now this one has the thermal paste that has been applied earlier, and we are going to utilize it now. And so we're going to place the heatsink and fan combination correctly. Now you check this wire here. The wire here will indicate how to place the heatsink on the motherboard on top of the processor. The wire here has the socket, and the socket for connection is on the right hand side, my right hand side here. So we'll place it and match the screw holes, match the 4 holes carefully onto the socket. Then we use our screwdriver to screw the 4 screws down. So you can start from one and go to the diagonal one and screw it carefully to some extent. Then go to the other 2, screw them carefully to some extent without letting it go down fully. Go to the 4th one, screw it carefully, not fully, but to some extent. Then continue like that. Start from the first one again, carefully, slowly, so that it will be balanced on top of the processor. Okay. Alright. Okay. So that is that. Then we connect the fan into the socket on the motherboard. You can see that the fan has been connected. Alright. Next is the installation of the RAM onto the motherboard. We have the RAM here. We carefully hold it in order not to touch the sensitive parts, in order not to spoil or destroy the sensitive parts of the component. We have the RAM socket here. We have the RAM socket, the RAM slots. 2 of them are here. I'm using one of them. Watch the middle of the RAM. Not quite in the middle, but there's a notch that is closer to one end than to the other. That notch indicates how it's going to enter into the socket. The same notch is actually provided on the RAM slots. There is middle notch here, not entirely in the middle. So that the RAM must not go in the other direction, it must go only in one direction. And to install it, installing the RAM, we open the locks here. Then you put the RAM inside firmly until the locks come up and hook the RAM firmly. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So the hooks have come into position. And that is it. Now, we want to go ahead now and install the power supply unit onto the case. This is the position of the power supply unit in the case. So we are going to bring in the power supply unit into the right position. Then we begin to screw it down. Alright. This method will be done, and then the power supply unit goes in like this. Alright, it has entered into the right position, and the next thing is to screw the power supply unit into the case. So we have 4 screws to do that. So the 4 screws power supply unit has been installed. Next is to install the optical drive. Next is to install the motherboard. We have installed these 3 components: the processor, heatsink and fan, and then the RAM. So we're going to bring in the motherboard. As you're bringing it in, these terminals, the ports out here, we use it to match the back of the case. You can see the slots for them here. So these parts, various parts, will match the case. That's what we're going to do now. Alright, don't forget there are standoffs, and also there is one in the case that will help us hold the motherboard in position. Okay, yes, so the motherboard is now in position. We can now begin to screw the motherboard down. We have 7 screws. Now, one important part of the installation of the computer system is the form factor. The case, the motherboard, and the power supply units must come with the same form factor. They must come with the motherboard form factor, which can be ATX, ATX extended, and so on. So right here, if they are not having the same form factor, then the 3 of them may not fit together. So they must come with the same form factor. Alright. Alright, so after throwing the motherboard into place, the next thing we want to do is to install the hard drive. This is the socket for the hard drive. I'm going to place it into the right position right now. Okay. This is the slots. This is the slots for the hard drive. I'm going to put the hard drive into position and screw it there. Okay. This is the position right now. We have three screws. Right. Next, we are going to install the optical drive. We install the optical drive from the front, taking note of where the screw holes are. The screw holes must match these two holes. Okay, this is the right position, and we have two screws for that purpose. Okay. After installing all the various parts, the next is to connect the cables. The SATA cables for power, these ones, and the SATA cable for data. Alright. This one goes to the motherboard. Okay. This is for the case fan. Right. So one has to be very careful in putting the cables at the right position. Each cable has a socket that matches almost uniquely to a particular terminal or socket on the motherboard. So you have to be careful and find out where their cable should be connected. None of them should be connected wrongly. Now, I want to connect the SATA data cables. This one goes from the hard drive and it's going to the motherboard. The next thing is to insert the front cover, the front panel. The front panel is here. It's going to be inserted like this. Then we are going to cover the case. This cover is here, and this is the screw to hold it in position. Use this screw to hold it in place after the case has been inserted. Alright. Finally, the computer is ready for testing. The next thing is to connect the cables from this computer unit to the monitor. Then from the computer power supply to the power. Also, the monitor will be connected to power. So, when you install a new system like this, the next job is to install the operating system. Afterward, the computer will be connected to power supply and then it will be tested. Don't forget to like the video, make your comments down, and then subscribe if you have not done so. See you in the next video. Bye.